Where's the sound trip ever taken?
You wouldn't understand.
I understand you got a pretty fucked up idea of animal husbandry.
Okay, wasn't that fun in a awkward sort of way?
Do you by any chance happen to be in special ed?
So you're trying to tell me that all these deaths are accidental? Let's think we're all idiots here or something.
How's it feel to be voted the most hated man in America right now?
In a country full of Neanderthals, I wear the fucking badge of honor.
Hey everybody, Jokey Pants, I'm back. We got another movie with this one, and I just wanted to start off the video by letting you all know there's going to be some changes with this channel. This will be the last movie for a little bit. There's some games that I want to go through and do stuff on, but I gotta, actually record the footage and get the things I need, whatever. So there will be a little bit of break from video in that sense, but I'll try to have things that go up here in the meantime. Probably clips from my main podcast, What an Oddcast, clips from Jokey Pants Has Bad Taste, which is over on our main channel, the Oddcast Network. So, just if you want consistently things going up, the main channel is going to be where to go for that while I figure out getting some other stuff. But anyway, so we did Crocodile 1, and I did a review about Mortal Kombat Armageddon, for 20-year anniversary. Was it good? Was it bad? If you watch the video, it's a mix of both. I'm back with Crocodile 2 Death Swamp from 2002, so 2 years after the first one, and boy... So on What an Oddcast, we talk about your rose-colored glasses and how nostalgia can lie, and sometimes things aren't as good as you remember them being. Boy, was this an example of that tried and true. After sitting through this again, I went, this was better in my mind than I remember it actually being. Alright, so let's get into this. So Crocodile 2 Death Swamp. I have an issue with that right off the bat, which we'll get into in just a second. But firstly, so in Jokey Pants Season 1, when I first started doing Bad Taste, once again we have something that's calling back to those first episodes I was doing. I covered this direct, and because I hadn't really paid attention to details of who directed it and who's in it, blah blah blah, I didn't really pay attention to that it was the same guy. This is Gary Jones, who I've covered twice with this show, when I did Mosquito from 1994 and Spiders from 2000. Of all the movies, which after watching Crocodile 2, I would rather watch either of those two again, because this is the low bar of what he's capable of by far. Both of the other movies were better in so many ways than what this one was. So we went from the good points, because Mosquito's fun, Spiders has its issues here and there, but it's still a fun creepy B movie. Crocodile 2 is none of those. So right off the bat, my first note of this whole movie was that this director, Gary Jones, loves using criminals and an action movie set in a horror movie, because this movie doesn't wait at all. You get thrusted right into there's a bunch of bank robbers robbing a bank. And here's my first issue with this movie, right? It's marketed as, and if you look this up, it is called Crocodile 2 Death Swamp. Somebody didn't realize that when they were doing the credits for this, because almost immediately Crocodile 2 Death Roll comes on the screen, and I went, that's the title it should be, because a death roll is what a crocodile does, and that would make sense and play into the B-movie nature. Death Swamp is just stupid, so why they didn't just stick with Death Roll, beyond me, because I also couldn't find any background information for this fucking movie, because it's such a B-movie. Anyway, that immediately pissed me off, where I was oh, they had the better title, but they didn't use that for the final title, but nobody told their credits guy, because he has Death Roll on there, but okay. So anyway, so these robbers rob the bank, and they murder all the security guards, because it's just why not? And they steal a bunch of money and a bunch of gold, and then cuts immediately over to one of our main characters, Mia, who is getting dropped off at the airport by taxi, and she's a flight attendant, and she's going on a new flight, and she gets a gift, and I have a note about this gift she got, right? Because she opens it, and it's a golden and engraved lighter. So here's the thing, right? This is 2002 this movie's taking place, and even so, it would have been shot over 2001, and maybe it was done before September. I think we know where I'm going with this. As someone who has been on a plane more recently, you can't bring that on a plane post 9/11. Like, that's just not a thing. So to see her just like get this lighter and then try lighting it and then she just pockets it, walks on the plane, I'm like, no, they would not let you get that through security. This came out after 9/11. If this was in the 90s, then maybe. I don't really know what it was like then because I was only a baby. But definitely not after 9/11 2002, right? Like 2002's, that's not being let on the plane, and she's a flight attendant. She should know she can't bring that. But movie says it doesn't give a about that because there's another thing that happens later where I'm like, definitely not something they let to go on the plane. I don't even think they would have let that fly beforehand. But anyway, she gets a call from her boyfriend, who we find out is in Acapulco, Mexico, and he's having a vacation, and he's waiting for her to get there. The plane that she's going to be getting on that's at stop. And they have like a whole conversation about she's excited to have the vacation, and that the lighter she has doesn't light right away. She has to keep flicking it for it to turn on. Put a pin in that, because that'll be important literally at the very end of this movie. It just, gotta have that Chekhov's gun, whatever. You see the lighter, you know it's going to be used at some point, and the way they use it just makes you go, why? So anyway, she gets on her plane and it's all fun good times. Bank robbers show up to the airport, and my note on this, they look like Dollar Store Blade and his biker gang friends, because every one of them is wearing a leather jacket, sunglasses, jeans, and boots, except one guy who looks like he's trying to be Blade, but instead of a leather trench coat, he's got like a fabric trench coat. And I was also like, for dudes who just robbed a bank, you are not blending in. Like, you stand out like a sore fucking thumb. Like, what was the choice of costume for these robbers? Anyway, everyone gets on the plane, and we're met by a bunch of other cannon fodder kind of people. There's a group of young morons who I still, even after watching this literally last night, have no fucking idea what they did, but they just say they made a lot of money in Singapore, and something about the one guy's a trivia whiz, and I'm like, was it a game show? I think he mentions it's a game show, but he doesn't say casino, he just says that he's really smart, so maybe it was that he was betting. Honestly, I don't know, because the minute he was like, yeah, we just got back from Singapore, all paid expense to go on this vacation, and I'm like, what? And then he starts talking about, ask me anything, I know everything, and I'm like, that's fucking stupid. This is already off to a bad start. We also meet a lawyer who's hitting on some random woman next to him who clearly wants nothing to do with it, and he's just like, I'm a big shot, you see my name, you're gonna win the case, I'm all the rage, and I'm just like, yeah, you're probably gonna die at some point, you're just that kind of character. And he does, but way later than you'd think. And we also see all the robbers, right? And one of them, named Saul, decides he can't ride the plane to Mexico from Southern California to Mexico unless he has a smoke. And of course, the smoke detectors go off, let him know somebody's smoking, and he gets scolded about it. And they're terrible at blending in. They're just terrible at blending in because Saul makes a whole big ruckus, and their quote leader, Max, is just like, man, what the fuck is wrong with you? We're trying not to cause a distraction. God damn it. And they get into a storm, and it's really bad. And they get called up, and they're like, hey, guys are gonna have to turn the plane around and come back, because you're not gonna be able to make it through the storm to where you're going. But also, when they do crash, they talk about they're 50 miles from Acapulco or whatever, and I'm like, I think it would have been shorter for them to just push through to where they were going, because by the way they talk about it after the crash, they were already almost there, so why the fuck they would be turning around to go further back to the original airport is fucking beyond me. But anyway, it doesn't matter, because the TSA at this airport, non-existent, and security fucking sucks, as the robbers literally pull out fucking pistols from their boots, clips and all, and I immediately went, again, this is fucking 2002. Even if you were filming this in 2001, not only would that not fucking happen, because again, post 9/11, but also, this movie probably shouldn't have been released, because that's literally what happened, not that long ago from when this movie actually released, so who the fuck allowed that to be in this fucking thing? But anyway, they hijack the plane, and Saul's just a fucking, he's a trigger-happy fucking maniac, because one of the young guys is just like, I don't want to die, I don't want to die. He just keeps repeating it, and then Saul kills him because he won't shut up, and I'm like, well, you just kept shoving a gun in his face and saying that he was gonna die, so, like, you put him into a panic state. It's kind of your fault, but you just wanted an excuse to kill someone. I see what kind of character you are. And then Max, who's the leader of this group, is doing what I call his Samuel L. Jackson impression, because literally this entire fucking movie, it was a note I had in the beginning, and then as I kept watching, he just does this the entire movie for no reason. But every other word this man says is motherfucker or some variation of motherfucker. And I just went, he's like doing a Sam Jackson, but like a really like parody of Sam Jackson kind of character, but he's not doing it like that's just, it was frustrating and it was fucking stupid for this entire goddamn movie. The one pilot tries to overpower them. He gets shot. Another issue here is that Petey, Squid, the guy who shoots him, you see him point the gun into his chest and point it upward, but the bullet goes down into the control panel because movie's gonna movie, they had to have a plane crash, but like you could have had him aim the gun downward because he definitely was not fucking aiming in that direction, so this gunshot makes no fucking sense.
No, don't do it! We're doing this! What's wrong? Get this shit on the control, motherfucker!
You blew a hole in my control panel!
Magic fucking bullet. The magic bullet comes into play again as it fucking curves downward into the control panel. But anyway, so they crash. They didn't want to pay for a bunch of extras in this movie, so half of the plane breaks and then immediately explodes. And then fire comes up and kills even more people in the other half. So that we're left with just our handful of people for this movie, I guess. So they get, the two flight attendants are still alive. We have Julia and we have Mia, who we knew from before. The pilot, and then the robbers, the woman who was sitting next to the lawyer, and one of the rich kids. I don't know why all his friends died, because he was sitting in the aisle seat, and there was like two people next to him and people across from him. The one friend did get shot, as we mentioned, but like why none of his other friends survived, but he did, is fucking beyond me. I don't understand. But anyway, they take out the woman who's injured and like fucking, they're just like, we need to get the first aid kit. This woman needs medical attention. And Max goes, yeah, let me help her with that. Bang! And just fucking shoots this woman and is like, there, now we don't have to waste the manpower. And I'm like, all right, bad guy's gonna bad guy, but also a bit unnecessary. Like, I get you're an asshole. You've established that in the first 5 minutes of this. I don't think we needed to have you murder an innocent injured woman, but okay, movie. But anyway, so Max orders all the survivors to just go grab their gear, which is all the gold and money that they stole. They have it in like literally musician cases, like drum kit, fucking guitar, keyboard case, to be inconspicuous, I guess. But again, were fucking X-ray machines not a thing? Did no one see that it was just full of gold and money? Also, was a weight contingency just not a fucking thing? Because the guitar case they talk about later is, they're like, what is this, full of concrete? It's like, no, it's full of fucking gold. Fun fact, gold is heavy as shit. So if that thing is full of gold, no fucking way they let that onto a fucking plane. Holy shit. But regardless, they get all the stuff. And you may be saying, well, what is it? You're like 15 minutes or so into the movie? Where's the crocodile? Good fucking question. Because then the crocodile shows up and it eats the pilot who's trying to bitch at the others about making them get all the stuff. And it's a very small croc. And originally I thought, like, being Gary Jones and seeing the other movies he's done, he does a lot of like fun, practical, big monsters. And I thought it was going to be a lot of that. We're treated almost immediately to that super shitty CGI that's just slightly more polished. I mean, so slightly it doesn't fucking matter. From the first movie, and it comes up and eats him. And then the robbers just unload their entire clips into him. Like all four of them. Just unload every fucking bullet they have into this thing and they kill it. And everybody moves on. That's like, what the fuck? So then we cut over to the boyfriend who's at a bar, and he's trying to call back home about the flight. He hasn't been able to get any information, and then he sees the news that they crashed, and there's search parties going on, and he's super concerned, and they pan over down to the other end of the bar, and I went, holy shit, that's Martin Cole, who you probably know better from Karate Kid or Cobra Kai, because it's fucking... It's fucking John Kreese, the bad guy from Karate Kid. He's just in this movie. And let me tell you, he's the best person in this whole movie. By a long mile, he is the best character of this entire fucking movie. So kudos to him for being in this shitty fucking B movie. But anyway, he's getting drunk. He's a tracker. It says he can help him. Gonna cost him drinks though. So they have that little moment. And then it cuts back to our survivors. And yeah, Jesus fucking Christ, man. So everyone goes to sleep. And they're like tying up everybody. Mia asks Julia for the medication she has, because apparently she has, I don't even fucking know what pills. They don't clarify what pills they are, but they're clearly like an opioid of some kind. I assume probably Vicodins or something. But she takes a bunch of them from Julia and puts them into like the little tiny shot bottles of alcohol, right? That you can get on a plane, or like you go to your local liquor store, little shots. She dumps like 6 pills into this thing and then shakes it up and is just like, there, that'll do it. I'm gonna drug them. I immediately went, that's not how that works. You didn't crush them up, so those pills are just sitting in the bottom of those bottles. They are not going to dissolve because you shake it up a little bit like it's a fucking tear and pour fucking Kool-Aid or tea packet. Like, that's not how those work. Like, they will slowly dissolve, but like, if you're not going to crush them up into a powder and then put it in, like, that's not how that's going to work. But movie will make you think that if you just throw them in there, they'll magically dissolve into nothingness. So she uses that on Squid, who's doing guard duty. She drugs him, they knock him out, and then they escape. Then we cut over back to Zach, the boyfriend, who's waking up a drunk Roland in a shower, and then Roland's like, oh yeah, I remember you. Yeah, you want to go to that swamp. It's a bad place, and also it's a plane crash. Everyone's probably fucking dead. I've had to help search for those before. No one ever survived. And Zach just like convinces him. They make a deal for like $3,000, and he's like, her parents are rich. They'll give you whatever they want. They'll give you whatever you want. Just help me get her out of the swamp and make sure she's alive. So they head off to do that. Meanwhile, Julia and the gang, their bright fucking idea to get away from the robbers is, hey, let's go back to the plane. And then Julia goes, hey, by the way, I have the black box from the plane, so they'll be able to track our location. We're gonna be just fine as long as they don't catch us. And I went, you're a bunch of fucking idiots. You don't think that the robbers are immediately going to assume, or at least check, if you went back to the fucking plane? Also, you saw a man get eaten alive by a crocodile in the water where that plane is, and your thought is to go back to it, not thinking if there's any more crocodiles, which will now become an issue because we see that there's a big croc. As she's drugging Squid, we see a big croc come up, and it gets super mad that the little one's dead. I found out towards the end of this movie because I was confused at the settings, right? This is supposedly Flat Dog and her baby from the end of the first movie. So this giant crocodile went from Southern California, where it says the first movie took place, which also I had no idea it took place in Southern California because it does not clarify that at any fucking point in the first movie. But apparently it went from there to just the middle of fucking Mexico somewhere, and that's just where they are now. But anyway, so it's Flat Dog, and she's again gonna follow what the first movie did. She's pissed that her baby's dead, the one baby she had. So she immediately pops out of the water. She eats Julia, who had the black box, and everybody freaks out, runs away, and they immediately get fucking caught by the robbers because they're just like, yeah, fucking of course you were going back to the plane. You don't know where you are. That's the only thing you do know. Fuck off. So, like, they're immediately captured anyway. So now we have Squid, Max, Petey, one of the other robbers. He died during the plane crash. We don't see him die, but they can't find him. They assume he's dead. He doesn't come back, so he's dead. Saul, and then we, for our survivor group, we have Julia, who's now dead. She's now dead. So Mia, Justin the lawyer, Brian the trivia whiz are the only other people they have, and the robbers are going to use them to move all of that heavy baggage because they don't want to fucking do it. We have this manpower to fucking use it. I have to say here as well that when Julia gets eaten by the croc, by Flat Dog, again, it's so fucking frustrating they're trying to say it's the same way. It just doesn't make sense. But anyway, when it eats Julia, it's a puppet animatronic again, and his looks better than what it did in the first movie. I will give Gary the credit there, Mr. Jones, that it looks better in this movie, but he relies so much on that shitty CGI more than doing the the puppet animatronic. And it's frustrating when you look at, again, the other movies that he's done that I've covered, where he used a lot of puppet and animatronic. To then this one, he just went, nah, I'll just use that really shitty CGI instead. Fucking frustrating. Anyway, the robbers haul them off. Mia drops the fucking lighter that she got as a gift, which isn't a breadcrumb, she just fucking drops it. I also don't know why she had it out. She had no reason, but whatever. The next morning, Roland and Zach are using a tracking device, so they're tracking the black box signal from a helicopter, and Roland talks about he's used it numerous times to look for crash planes, blah, blah, blah. They end up touching down at some, like, little spot he has, where he has, like, boats and different random gear stored away, because he does expeditions into the swamp all the time. That's just what he does. So they take their boat, they head out. The group, or other group from the plane crash, put Brian the whiz kid in charge, because he says he can figure out the compass and how to get them out. Which also, Max is apparently just a fucking idiot, because all you had to do was, the pilot said that Acapulco, like where you were trying to go, was northeast, probably about 50 miles. All you have to do is take the compass and go, okay, I'm headed northeast. This is the direction. Apparently he can't fucking look at just northeast and be like, that's where we're going. He needs the fucking brain whiz to fucking do it. I guess that's the movie's logic. As they're going, they try talking about, like, no, there's a giant fucking croc you don't understand. And that Max is just like, I don't give a fuck. Right? Like, I have to get this money to... Yeah, that's another thing they don't really explain. He keeps talking about, like, possibly they have, like, a bigger boss to report to with the money, but they don't ever clarify that, and that never gets brought up, like, where the fuck they're going or anything, and then things that happen later contradict that, so whatever. But anyway, they spot the boat with Roland and Zach, and they make everyone get into the water so that they'll stop, and then Saul, like, tips over the boat, and they get Zach, and they're just like, I thought there was two guys, and Roland pops up, and he takes Max, and they have a hostage situation kind of thing going on. And while everyone's busy with that, Squid gets fucking eaten by the croc, because apparently it took him without him screaming until it bursted out of the water with him. And everybody starts running. Luckily for them, there's a fucking, apparently a boat shed thing. I don't even know, because it's like so high up from the water that, like, I don't fully understand what the hell this is. But anyway, they run to that, they get inside, everyone starts climbing up, the robbers come up, Justin the lawyer's the only one who didn't climb up right away, and they just toss him to the side, and I'm like, oh, this is how he dies, right? Not quite. He manages to get up there too, they pull him in, but then, like an asshole, he leans out of the fucking window and flips off the croc and is like, yeah, you stupid fucking thing, yeah, fucking eat me. So it does. It jumps up and rips him out of the window, and he's dead now.
Okay. Fuck you hear me? I got shoes that scare me more than you, motherfucker! Big piece of fucking luggage! Eat me!
And this, I laughed so fucking hard, because that night they're all like waiting for the croc, and the robbers are trying to figure out how to go get the bags they left behind in the water with all the money in it. And Roland tells them this local legend about, oh, the natives, you know, the Spaniards came and they got ripped apart by something they had never seen that crushed their armor and ripped them to shreds. And the natives knew what it was. I rewinded this a few times, right? He says El Gato Diablo, right? And I was like, and in my mind, I'm like, I assume that means like devil lizard or devil gator or something like that. Fucking no. No, actually. When I looked it up just to double check myself, El Diablo would be the devil. So like that part, yes. First of all, the way he adds an R in there, because that is not a fucking word that he says. It like literally translation was like, that's fucking gibberish. I have no idea what the fuck you're trying to say. And it actually corrected me to Gato, which is naughty or mischievous. So I get, maybe that's what he was meaning to say, but then that still means it's just the naughty devil or the mischievous devil. And in the context of they said that the massive crocs ate evil people in the swamp, I don't necessarily understand what the fuck he's trying to say here, because that doesn't make sense in the context of it's eating evil. Why would that be naughty? I don't fucking understand what the hell, unless it is supposed to be that it's the devil of the nut. I stopped trying to understand when he put an R in that word, and I was like, that's not how you pronounce it. You're adding an extra fucking letter. So that's literally, he said gibberish, but that's a little thing, right? That's a tiny thing. because Max ends up sending Zach and the Whiz Kid out to go get the boat because they realize they forgot that back there in the chaos. So they send them out to go get the boat. They send Mia out to go get all the bags that they left. And then after getting back, Mia's just like, oh yeah, I got all the bags and luckily the croc didn't get me. And Saul immediately starts being a fucking creeper with her. He's like, you're so beautiful. And he does the like camera lens with the hands and he's like, I don't know how you do it. You make the moonlight look even more beautiful. And then he gets even more creepy and gets really, really handsy. Let's put it that way. But luckily Flat Dog says, nah, dude, we ain't got the budget to try to do a sex scene of that nature. And it busts the floorboards with its tail. Also have to question why the fuck it was able to do that, because then literally it just hangs out in the lower water and doesn't do anything to reach them again. Movie's just movieing at this point here in the end. They all start freaking out. The robbers take the chance that we need to get the hell out of here. What are we gonna do? Zach and Brian show back up with the little boat, and Zach took Roland's shotgun that was in there, and he's like, I'll blow you both away. But Roland gets knocked off, and he's dangling down. Now, the croc can reach him, as we'll see here in just a second, that it could have very easily reached him, but movie convenience, plot armor, he's not supposed to die yet. So they pull him up. The robbers take the opportunity of the chaos to immediately take the boat and just fuck off. They go away. Brian gets eaten by the croc, and in the chaos of the croc knocking like the base whatever so that he falls in, it also knocks Mia and Zach in. And then with Brian, it decides to start doing a death roll for the first time in this entire movie. And apparently that breaks support beams, I guess, even though you don't see it move anywhere other than where it is when it rolls. Apparently that's enough to start breaking the building, and everyone has to escape. Everyone does escape. But then Roland immediately is like, we have to get back to the chopper. That's where they're gonna go. We have to get back there before them. I know a shortcut. But then we also cut over to our robbers. The boat apparently has a fucking hole in it, which if Zach put a fucking like leak in the boat, they had gone to take the boat, they would have had to fucking deal with that. So that just, why, movie? Why? But anyway, Saul tells Max, fuck off. This whole thing's gone to shit. Everyone's fucking dead. I'm just gonna take my half of the money and fucking go. And Max is just like, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry to all with the shit. It's okay. You can go. And then shoots him in the fucking back and tells him, yeah, we're in the jungle, survival of the fittest. Survive, motherfucker. I wish I was kidding how he said that's literally what he says. And then turns around and then Flat Dog eats Saul. Because why the fuck not?
What? I'm sorry. Fine. Ah! You fuck! You fuck! Give him shit. Good luck, motherfucker. Ah!
Roland, Mia, and Zach all get back to the chopper. They're getting ready to take off. And apparently Roland knew the shortcut too somehow, even though he literally doesn't know the swamp. He also gets back to the chopper at like almost the same time as them and immediately makes a deal with Roland. And then Roland's like, well, I already got my part of the deal. You two are reunited. Now I'm just going to get even more money if I side with him. And at first I was like, oh, so he is just a drunken douchebag. That's unfortunate. But then while they're mid-fucking flight, Roland wrestles the gun with Max, gets shot in the shoulder, but then kicks him out. Max holds on to just dangle in there or whatever. Like, he's just holding on to try to get back in. Why they decided this needed to be a fucking line, I don't know. This never came up at any fucking point in this movie, but they decide to add this. Roland takes the pistol, looks at him, and goes, guns don't kill people. People kill people. And then shoots him twice in the chest, and Max falls down to his presumably his death. Presumably his death, because I don't know. Presumably his death. You don't see him get eaten. But then Roland's like, all right, now I gotta finish my job. I'm coming, guys. And he turns around to go get Zach and Mia, who have already taken one of his other spare boats and are trying to get away themselves. Flat Dog says, fuck that. Your budget's up. We can't afford to have you in this movie anymore, sir. And it jumps out of the water, pulls the chopper down, which then also, apparently, electrical wire plus swamp water equals explosion. They did have got the scene earlier in the movie about there's methane pockets, which considering what happens later, maybe, but it's not in that area that there's methane pockets, so I don't understand what happens here, but the chopper just fucking explodes. So Roland's now dead.
Guns don't kill people. People kill people. Taxi's coming back, kids. I'm still on the clock.
Then Zach and Mia drive up on the boat, and then they get into a fight with Flat Dog, and then literally what they do to get rid of Flat Dog, as they go down the river more, they're trying to get away, they run into some of those methane pockets. Now, earlier in the movie, Squid had just put his cigarette in the water at it, and it caused the water to light on fire, whatever, because it's methane gas. And I was like, okay, whatever. But of course, that's another Chekhov's gun. They already had one with the fucking lighter, but now they need something to make that make sense. But instead of just throwing her lighter into these big massive methane pockets, they dump all of their fucking gasoline into the water and then light it, which then causes explosions, which then kills Flat Dog. And then this movie just fucking ends with that they get a vacation as settlement from the airline for the crash, and she has a nightmare about Flat Dog eating her when she goes to jump in a pool, and that's the end of this movie. For some reason in my brain, I thought this was better than the first one, and it's not. It's actually pretty on par with, they're both terrible. Just go watch Alligator 1 and 2, because those are so much better than what was done with either of these. But of course, that's my own personal opinion, and you're all allowed to have your own. That's the way the world works. Grow up and cry about it somewhere else. I don't fucking know. Anyway, so always remember, don't dump chemicals in the water, don't dump chemicals into the sewers, don't betray the puppets, don't fucking hitchhike, take on robber people. Man, fucking A, there's so many rules. Don't prank your friends as a serial killer, don't write a vampire Bible, and most importantly of all, stay happy. I'll see you again with whatever next one I do. It'll be a game of some kind. I just got a few that I'm working on to do with, so yeah, just go check out Oddcast Network and go check out our main episodes. Goodbye, everybody.